Hey guys, so I tell like it is, the scripted farewell for Gigi Buffon with play resuming in the 64th minute of the game for Juventus and Hellas Verona. A very emotional farewell for Gianluigi Buffon next year. I explain why Wojciech Szczesny is going to be a big clue that Juventus is going to win the Champions League next year. It is Wojciech Szczesny that wears the number 23 for Juventus. It is Juventus this year that can end a 23-year Champions League drought during the 2018-2019 Champions League final. At Madrid, Juventus will end a 23-year Champions League drought. What's significant about Szczesny is not only his number 23 in regards to the Champions League drought, 1996 Champions League final when Juventus won on penalties. They won the Champions League during the year 1996, which connects to his old club, Arsenal. Wojciech Szczesny played with Arsenal 132 times before joining Juventus. It is Juventus in gematria that equals 132. It is Wojciech Szczesny that plays 132 prior games with Arsenal before joining Roma and becoming the Juventus goalkeeper. And you can use the gematria value of his full name and his last name to gain a lot of meaning from his name. It is Szczesny in gematria that equals 33 and 132. Once again, it is Juventus that equals 132. Szczesny equals 33. And it is Juventus FC in gematria that equals 33. And you can even see what is the significance of Wojciech Szczesny's first name. It is Wojciech in gematria that equals 40 in gematria. Gianluigi Buffon today retires at the age of 40 years old. Wojciech Szczesny played for Arsenal, but it is Arsene Wenger, the manager, the former manager, I should say, of Arsenal, is really the other big Arsenal key to the puzzle for Juventus. It is Arsene Wenger that became the manager of Arsenal right after Juventus won the Champions League. And the day that he joined Arsenal was September the 22nd, and he became the manager on the 1st of October. This was 1996. Wenger joined Arsenal right after he won the Champions League final. Right after Juventus won the Champions League final, Arsene Wenger joins Arsenal. Now he leaves Arsenal. That means Juventus are going to win the upcoming Champions League. It's like a timeline where in between Wenger joins and leaves Arsenal, Juventus would win those two Champions Leagues for the following seasons. So the following season after Juventus win the Champions League, Wenger joins them. Then Wenger leaves Arsenal. The following season, Juventus win the Champions League. So Wojciech Szczesny, number 23. His first name has the letter W. W is the 23rd letter in the alphabet. 23-year Champions League drought. You think about Juventus being the Freemasonic black and white striped teams. You know, Freemason colors are black and white. The balance in the universe is what it's all about for Freemasons. It is Masone in gematria that equals 23, the Italian word for Mason. So it would be significant for the Champions League drought to end 23 years later. It was Dybala that was signed for 23 million English pounds, or yeah, you see, Paul Dybala, he was signed from Palermo for a fee of 23 million British pounds. The English language, the main language of the world, 23 million transfer fee from Palermo to Juventus when he joined the club. Not only does Arsene Wenger hold one of the keys to the puzzle in regards to the Champions League drought for Juventus, but it is Thierry Henry that used to play for Juventus. So we have Szczesny, the former Arsenal keeper, number 23, and we have Szczesny ending a 23-year Champions League drought, which brings me to another thing. Wojciech Szczesny's birthday of April the 18th, 4 plus 18 adds up to 22. That's 22 full years without winning the Champions League. Replaces Gianluigi Buffon after 23 years of playing football. Szczesny ending a 23-year Champions League drought the following season. It all makes sense what's going to happen right now. That's 8 letters. That's 16. 22 letters in his name. 22 full years without winning the Champions League. Wojciech Szczesny, his full name, gematria of 73, the reverse of 37, a 3-7 record in the Champions League final for Juventus if they win. Gianluigi Buffon's farewell. His farewell equals 37, 3-7 record in the Champions League final the following year after Buffon's farewell. Buffon gets subbed off in the 63rd minute of the game. It is, let's see here, Forza Buffone, the Italian word for power and strength. Forza Buffone equals 63. Buffon gets subbed off in the 63rd minute. Play resumes in the 64th minute. It is Buffon that equals 64. It is Juventus Football Club in gematria equals 64. Next year's the 64th Champions League. It is Allegri that equals 64. It is the Drought, La Gioia Dybala equals 64 in gematria. Very big number for the 64th Champions League next year. But it is Thierry Henry that is the same age of Gianluigi Buffon. So Thierry Henry is going to turn 41 years old right after the Champions League final. It is, once again, the date calculator is a very big method. The day of the Champions League final is on June the 1st. The day of Thierry Henry's birthday is on August the 17th. Thierry Henry, the amount of time from the Champions League final to his birthday for next year is a time span of 77 days. And Thierry Henry's birth year is a year 77, and for some reason that has a lot of significance for Juventus ending the Champions League drought, because Juventus last won the Champions League in the 41st edition of the Champions League, and he would turn 41 years old right after Juventus wins the Champions League final. So maybe the Italian word for drought would help out with that. Let's see here. Henry equaling 74, Thierry Henry, Arsenal equals 70. In gematria, 64th minute, Gianluigi Buffon leaves. He leaves after 640 appearances in Serie A. Next year's the 64th Champions League. It's all about interpretation in gematria, where next year wasn't really a tribute for Gianluigi Buffon to win the Champions League personally, but it was going to be a tribute for what he failed to do for 23 years in his career with Juventus. And This is what it's all about. The Champions League last year, and ending at Madrid for Juventus. Ciudad de Madrid equals 64 in Gematria. So Juventus season for Buffon ends in the Champions League at Madrid. Next year it ends at Madrid. Szczesny, number 23, used to play for Arsenal. Juventus won the Champions League right before Wenger joined Arsenal. Now Wenger leaves Arsenal. Now it is Juventus that is ready to complete that timeline cycle and win the Champions League. It's Arsene Wenger's greatest player, Thierry Henry, for Arsenal. Big tribute. Thierry Henry played for Juventus before he went to Arsenal. Wenger bought Henry from Juventus, not from Monaco. True story. Arsenal, there are a lot of special tributes for Juventus for next year's Champions League final. Arsenal's interrelated for some reason. You think about it. The number 13 is a lucky number in Italy, and the year that Gianluigi Buffon won the World Cup in 2006, when Buffon won the 2006 World Cup, you know, it was a 2006 World Cup that was won by Gianluigi Buffon in Italy. Gianluigi Buffon was a World Cup champion with the Italians. He still managed to win the biggest trophy out there. Buffon won the World Cup final with Italy against France over at Germany. So he did manage to win the biggest trophy of all of them, despite what is said and done at the end of the day for Gianluigi Buffon. But it was 2006, right before the Champions League final, or right before the World Cup final, who lost the Champions League final, and who did what Juventus kept on doing with Buffon, which was losing the Champions League final. It was Arsenal that lost the Champions League final in 2006, the year that Buffon won the World Cup. So I think that's the biggest reason why there's a special Arsenal tribute to Juventus and all of its Champions League losses. It is because this final was played at France. It was Buffon that beat France in the World Cup. The same year Buffon wins the World Cup, it was Arsenal that lost the Champions League final. Juventus kept on losing the Champions League final. It was Arsene Wenger that was the reason that Juventus couldn't win the Champions League. Right at the start and end of Arsene Wenger's tenure with Arsenal meant that this losing curse for Juventus in the Champions League was going to end. Arsenal lost the Champions League final in the year that Buffon won the World Cup. It was Buffon that retired yesterday on the 19th day of May. 19 plus 5 equals 24. Juventus, once again, equals 24. But the day that Wenger joined Arsenal, September 22nd, October the 1st, is going to be a very clear days to look out for connecting the Champions League final to the, end of Wenger, or the start of Wenger's tenure with Arsenal. The black and whites, I believe, equals under 13. But how about the 1st of October, the day that Wenger officially joined Arsenal, connecting Wenger's tenure with Arsenal to the start and the end of the Champions League title drought? Next year's the 122nd, or no, actually next year's the 121st season for Juventus, I should say. But there are no other tributes for that for Arsene Wenger, whatnot for Juventus ending the Champions League title drought once again. It is Arsene that equals 62, It is the word Freemason, Mason that equals 62. It is Masone that equals 23. It is Juventus that's going to end the 23-year Champions League drought. All of these teams are Freemasons. It was a black and white team, Newcastle, that Arsene Wenger lost to before he announced his decision to retire. It was Newcastle, the black and white team, that were the last team to beat Arsenal before Wenger announced his retirement. It was 2-1. Freemasonic black and white stripes. Juventus wear the Freemasonic black and white stripes. Freemasons rigging and scripting your world of sports. Wojciech Szczesny, his birthday, April the 22nd. Now, let's try this. Wojciech Szczesny's birthday, April the 18th to June the 1st. Time span of 45 days when you include the end date. It is Dybala in Gematria that equals 45. Dybala signing with Juventus for 23 million British pounds. It was 32 million total for Paul Dybala's transfer. Wojciech Szczesny's birthday for next year, April the 18th of 2019. Wojciech Szczesny's birthday numerology for 2019 adds up to 61, the same day as the final on June the 1st. 6-1, June the 1st. His birthday numerology for 2019 equals 61, June the 1st. Wojciech Szczesny is going to win the Champions League next year for the Arsenal-Wenger, for Juventus. The special Arsenal tribute. Szczesny. Wojciech Szczesny in Gematria equaling 78. His full name, Gematria of 78. That's where that date duration from June the 1st, the day of the Champions League final, to Thierry Henry's birthday, his 41st birthday, holds the keys to the puzzle. Is that the amount of time from the day of the Champions League final to Thierry Henry's birthday is a time span of 78 days. The former goalkeeper of Arsenal, Wojciech Szczesny, equals 78. Biggest signing for Wenger was Thierry Henry from Juventus. Juventus win the Champions League before the start and right after the end of Arsene Wenger's tenure. Szczesny, number 23, will end their 23-year Champions League drought.